Blessings, Rock and Metal Guardians. I hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. I'm Dane, host of the channel. Today I'm going to explore with you ranking my favorite King Crimson live albums of all time. And as you know, if you're a King Crimson fan, there is just a slew of King Crimson live material out there. So essentially, I've gone down the rabbit hole, but have to tell you, have to be honest, haven't gone down the rabbit hole 100%. There's just too much stuff out there, and it would take a lifetime or maybe 2 or 3 lifetimes to get all this stuff. Plus, money doesn't grow on trees. But let's take a look, and I just pulled this up on my phone, the wealth of King Crimson live material, just to give you a taste of how much is out there for you to explore on your own. Of course, I encourage you to go beyond what I've done if you have the resources. Of course, I may also venture into going down the rabbit hole further and maybe get a couple other things, but I've resurfaced, and I don't know the next time I'll go down, but I'm going to, like I said, explore with you the stuff that I have and rank it for you. So if we start with Earthbound in 1972, then you get USA and the Great Deceiver box set, and all the way down through and including, 2021, you get Music Is Our Friend, live in Washington and Albany 2021. That is so from the get-go with the band through 2021, you get the main live material that's really easy to find, that kind of thing. But then you get into what's called the King Crimson Collectors Club, and there's even more stuff here going all the way back to 1998 when this began, live at the Marquee 1969, and then all the way through and including, if I scroll down here, 2019 with number 48 live in Newcastle 1972. And so this is wow, so much here. And then even in addition to that, you have what's called the Collectible King Crimson, starting in 2006 with the Collectible King Crimson Volume 1, Volume 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you get the DGM live stuff, and it just lists some notable selections. And you have some compilation live stuff. And then you get all the box set stuff, which has live material like Heaven and Earth, which I've shown you before. So there's just over 100, I guess. I didn't count any of that, but just so much out there. What I have today is just 16 or so to present to you. This is all of my live King Crimson stuff that I'm sharing with you. I'm not leaving anything out, so I'm ranking all of it. So 16, let's start with number 16 finally. And this is King Crimson 2021, live in Washington, live in Albany. The official title of the album is Music Is Our Friend. Now, I wasn't going to buy this, and I decided, or kept in my mind, I should say, I'm not going to buy this. I have enough live King Crimson over here, right? And then a friend of mine said, no, you have to get this one because when you listen to it, it sounds like their lives depended on it, the way they're playing. So I was like, okay, that's a convincing argument. And I was a sucker. It doesn't sound like their lives depended on it to play it. It's good, but it's not great. When I listen to this, there's the usual King Crimson bombast, but it seems like even in the quiet moments, there seems like, I don't know if it's where they're playing but the acoustics, and like I said, it's good, but it seems like that the band is focusing too much on the pomp and the circumstances and not the music. There's times where the vocalist sounds spot on with the material, and the other times where certain phrasings, within the same song, mind you, where it's not as good. So take, for example, let's see, 21st Century Schizoid Man. Sometimes the singer is spot on. Jaco Jaksic, if I'm pronouncing his name right. He's wonderful at times. And sometimes in his concerts, as I'll mention here, I don't have the problem that we have here. So sometimes the phrasing is off, and I get it, when you tour and you play live, you're not going to sound exactly like the record, nor do you want them, because this band is known for their improvisation. And that's one of the reasons that this band has captured my heart so many times, right? And yours as well. But it just doesn't have the magic that some of these other ones that I'm going to point out have. Like I said, there's some good. I have to emphasize that yet again. There's some good stuff here, and I would say it's worth having, but I was disappointed given the hype that my friend told me that they're playing like their lives depended. And in addition to some of the phrasing is off, When I listen to Starless, which is my favorite song on this version, it seems like some of the heavy parts were omitted, and that's part of, you need that. You need the whole song. And it's 15 and change, so I'm wondering, there's something missing. So overall, that's a microcosm, the version of Starless in 21st Century Schizoid Man, or a microcosm of there's something missing here. It's as if there's too much about the theatricality of the moment and not enough about the music, if that makes sense. So this is why this album is disappointing, and so it's dead last at number 16. Now, number 15, Live in Toronto. You get CD1, Threshold Soundscape, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1. I hated it when in the 70s, when they would start off, or close in the set list, near the beginning of the set list, rather, they would start off with Part 2. I never understood that, but anyway, so more of that later. Pictures of a City, Vroom, Radical Action, Meltdown, The Hellhounds of Krim, which, as you know, is the three drummers playing their hearts out. The Construction of Light, Red, and Epitaph is CD1. Then CD2 is Banshee Legs, Bell Hassle. Easy Money, one of my favorite songs. Level 5, The Letters and Sailor's Tale are a nice treat. Going to the jazz album Islands Right. Starless is here. It's much better than what I just showed you on the previous. The Court of the Crimson King, also better here on the one I just showed you. And 21st Century Schizoid Man, a tad bit better than the one I just showed you in Music is Our Friend. This, I think, is not just a tad better than this. There are a couple songs that are a tad better than the ones on here, but this overall is much better than this. So if you're going to buy these two, I would consider getting this one first. All right, this is really good. All right, next, and I just bought this one, and I've listened to it 3 times, and this is Ladies of the Road. There's 2 discs here. Volume 1, called Ladies of the Road. Pictures of a City, The Letters, Formentera Lady. Abridged version, The Sailor's Tale, Circus, Groon, Get Thy Bearings, 21st Century Schizoid Man, and The Court of the Crimson King. This comes in at number 14. This is from 1971-72, so you have that Islands lineup here. It's essentially most of the Islands album, although you are missing Islands, and you're missing Ladies of the Road, ironically, which is very disappointing. But you get a great version of Groon on here, a live version, because let's face it, Earthbound is just horrible. We all know that, right? Now, Disc 2, or Volume 2 as it's called, is called Schizoid Men, and it's 11 tracks, which essentially is simply one big track divided up into 11 sections. It's a suite of a version of an improvisation of 21st Century Schizoid Man, and it's fabulous. This is amazing. I really love this, especially because of Disc 2, but it's nice to hear the Boz Burrell lineup, which I'm quite fond of. Too bad that they didn't last for a couple of albums more. Anyway, but then you wouldn't have the John Wetton era, which is my favorite. More on that later. All right, so that was 14. Quick recap: 16, Music is Our Friend; 15, Live in Toronto, 2016; and 14, Ladies of the Road, the Boz Burrell era, 71-72. Next, number 13, this is wonderful, Live in Chicago. And it begins with a soundscape song, bellscape, and orchestral warning. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, yay, they got that right. Part 1 is first. Neurotica, The Errors, and I think this is a song that you can only find on this album. Circus, so you have a nice version of Circus here. Then you get the Lizard Suite, so you get the Lizard good stuff here. Fallen Angel, which is quite nice. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2. Islands, which is nice, and Pictures of a City. CD2, Indiscipline. Construction of Light, Easy Money, The Letters, Interlude, Meltdown, Radical Action 2, Level 5, Starless, Here's Nice, Heroes, David Bowie song, and 21st Century Schizoid Man. This is, I think, leaps and bounds better than this, and leaps and bounds better than this. These are worth having, but this is even more worth having. So if you can get your hands on this, I get this about 6 months ago. So this is I listen to this one all the time. This is fabulous, as I said. So it gets the 13 spot of the 16 I'm presenting today. Number 12. This is a twofer. This is part of that BMG club that I was telling you about. This is Live in Mainz, 1974, and Live in Asbury Park, 1974. I'm just going to focus on the Live in Mainz. So this is Number 12, this is the John Wetton era, of course. You get Improv The Savage, Dr. Diamond, Improv Arabica, Exiles, Improv Atria, The Night Watch, Starless, so good, Lament, then an improvisation version of Trio, which is fabulous, and then closing out with Easy Money. So you have the David Cross, Robert Fripp, Wetton, and Bruford lineup. My favorite, as I said. Got to get this if you can still find it. I got this years and years and years ago when I saw that was available. So that was number 12, again, live in Mainz, 1974. Number 11. Let me see if I have this right. Yes. Number 11 is this beauty. I hate the album cover with the Cyclops, but it is called Radical Action to Unseat the Hold of Monkey Mind. It is... show you some things here. There's the band. And of course, there's the monkey joke there. The drummers, right? And then you get a little booklet. So this has interesting 3 CD set. CD 1 is called Mainly Metal. So you get some of the heavy stuff like Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, Radical Action, Meltdown, Radical Action 2. So you get both of those, level 5. And it closes with Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2. I'm not going to read everything here. CD 2 is what's called the Easy Money Shots. So you get Peace, Pictures of a City, Easy Money, of course, A Scarcity of Miracles, The Letters, Sailor's Tale, A Suitable Ground for the Blues, which is something that you can't find on any other album. Then you get CD 3, the classics, Red, One More Red Nightmare, Epitaph, Starless, Devil Dogs of Tessellation Row, which is phenomenal, Court of the Crimson King, and 21st Century Schizo Man. And there's a Blu-ray disc that comes with a complete concert of these songs. So this is quite good, worth having. Nice 3D box set. This is the back. You can still get this because I recommended it to a friend of mine, and he picked it up the other day. So here you go one more time. Called... oh, excuse me. Sorry about that, folks. Called Radical Action to Unseat the Hold of Monkey Mind. And I guess it's a box set. Some people argue 3 CDs isn't a box set. I'm going to call it a box set. 3 CDs. So that came out in 2015. Now, so that was number 11. Cracking the top 10. This is phenomenal. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. Yeah. This is phenomenal. This is live in Vienna. And you have 3 CDs. CD 3, though, is just the encores and expansions like Heroes, Fracture, 21st Century Schizo Man, and then the next 3 songs are just that soundscape stuff that we know and love from Robert Fripp's solo era, like the solo album he did with Brian Eno called No Pussyfooting, and for example, I think it's called Paradise or something like that, which is quite good. And then you've got a lot of cool stuff on here. CD1 has Walk On, Monk Morph Music of the Chamber, The Hellhounds of Krim, Suitable Grounds for the Blues, The Letters, Court of the Crimson King. CD2 has Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2, Starless. So Starless pretty much, before you get to CD3, ends the first 2 CDs. This is fabulous, folks. You have to get this great album cover too, right? Tony Levin and the group, Jocko with his long hair. And Robert Fripp peeping way in the end right here. All right, so this is worth having. Now, if you like this one and you think this is great, and it is, this next one's going to knock your socks off even more. And I'm talking about Meltdown, live in Mexico, July 2017. Another great album cover. And you have 3 CDs of glorious music. It's a nicer box than the other ones that I showed. You get a booklet as well. The same album art. And I think it's 3 CDs. Yes, it's 3 CDs. I thought so. All right. So let me talk about some of the tracks here. CD 1, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, Neurotica, Circus, Dawn Song, Last Skirmish, Prince Rupert's Lament. This is great to have live. The Hellhounds of Krim, Red, Fallen Angel, Islands, The Talking Drum, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2. That's all of CD 1. CD 2. Interlude, Easy Money, The Letter, Sailor's Tale, Catalytic number 9, Meltdown, Radical Action 2, Level 5, and ending with Starless. And finally, CD 3, Peace, An End, Pictures of a City, The Court of the Crimson King, Heroes, 21st Century Schizoman, and then you get a fourth disc, a Blu-ray disc of the concert footage, which I've actually watched. This is quite good. Actually, it's very good, so this is a must. Of the period with the three drummers and Jaco on vocals, this is a must-own. If you had to choose between the ones I've shown you already and this, you want to get this one. Although this one is close to this, but this one is even better. This one is even better. Now, I would say this next one is just a smidge better than this, although there are days when I want to flip these two. And I'm talking about the Elements box set of 2017. There's something I didn't read from Wikipedia. There's all the Elements box sets. I don't think I read that. Maybe I did. But there are a ton of these. I'm not going to pick up all of these. These are still pretty easy to find. This is fabulous. This is where I think I've complained a little bit about Jaco's voice in spurts, small moments on Music Is Our Friend. Here he hits it out of the park every time. Let's look at the tracks. I'll explain why this is perhaps my favorite, just a smidge above this. So you get a song called Wind. We all know that song, 21st Century Schizoid Man, and it samples Greg Lake vocals. 21st Century Schizoid Man, an edit. Then you get In the Wake of Poseidon, an improv with Mel Collins. So this is a collage of different periods of the band, but it works. You get Peace, 2015 version, so Jaco's on vocals here. Circus Live 2016, Islands, an instrumental edit. Easy Money from 2015. Suitable Grounds for the Blues, 2015. This is a rehearsal. The Great Deceiver Live 1974. So, John Wetton. Improv, Mel Collins, Extract 2016. Asbury Park edit. One More Red Nightmare from 2016. Meltdown, 2015 rehearsal. Thella, Hun, Junjeet, Steven Wilson, alternate mix. This is really good, even though that's not one of my favorite songs. Heartbeat Live, 1982. Sleepless Live, 2008. Then you get a Robert Fripp intermission announcement. Then you get Form Number 1, Thrack. Then Keep That One Nick, an edit section. Then here's the beauty of this box set. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, live, 2015. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2, live, 1974. Keep That One Nick, edit section. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 3, live, 1984. Keep That One Nick, edit section. Lark's 4, construction. Keep That One Nick, edit section. Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 4, live, 2003. Level 5, which is, of course, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 5, 2016. And then Lark's Tongues and Aspic radio advertisement. So this disc 2 is the beauty of, although I like all of this, so this isn't one live set or a hodgepodge where they combine 2 or 3 things like some bands do, like Rush, Exit Stage Left is not one concert, it's from 2 or 3, right? Made to sound like one concert. It works here though, despite that you have vocals or vocalists from the whole King Crimson time period. From all the way back, starting with Greg Lake through and including the modern day era with the 3 drummers. But what's great about this overall, my favorite part is disc 2, as much as I like disc 1. So this is essentially a journey through the live material of the whole band from the beginning through current day, 2017. And what's great is you can listen to disc 2 as if it were a suite, because you have all the Lark's Tongues and Aspics 1 through 5 with this little piece called Keep That One Nick that interrupts it at times, and then you get the advertisement at the end, which you can skip. This is fantastic, folks. You have to get this. All right, so that was the Elements box set coming in at number 8. Number 7 is phenomenal. It is not perfect. The production is quite good, but it's not perfect. But essentially what this album is, even though it's not called it, this album might as well be called Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Live, because it's the whole album live, but there's 2 songs that are not because they're improvisations. I'm talking about King Crimson live in Newcastle, 1972. So you get the 5-piece lineup of Muir, Cross, Wetton, Fripp, and I can't remember the guy, Sinclair maybe on drums and all sorts. He makes all the funny noises and whatnot. I think I have the name wrong. But anyway, Sinclair's the guy on Lizard. Lizard, yeah. So anyway, let's take a look at the track listing. Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 1. It's fabulous. Then you get a Robert Fripp announcement. Don't need that. Then you get Book of Saturday, and in the RF announcement, Fripp says that the song's called Daily Games. Well, Daily Games is in parentheses. It doesn't say that on the actual album. But anyway, whatever you want to call it, it's wonderful. Wetton's voice is that profound, wonderful, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing that we know and love here. Then you get Improv, number 1, after Book of Saturday. And it's in 3 sections, I would argue. The first part of Improv number 1 is very light sounding because it has that Book of Saturday feel, but then it segues into a more soundscapey feel that we know and love from Fripp's solo stuff and some of the soundscape stuff he does with the current band. And then it gets very heavy in a King Crimson way, that very jazz fusion-y. So it's in 3 sections, and it's wonderful. It's fabulous. This is so worth having, folks, especially if you're like me and you like the Wetton-led era. Then Exiles. Amazing. Easy Money is amazing. Then you get Improv number 2, and this is also arguably in 3 sections. You have the essentially the percussion section and all sorts from again, is it Sinclair, but he's got the mustache with the curled ends. I can't remember his name. And then he's later dropped from the band for the second Wetton era album, which is Starless and Bible Black. Anyway, so Part 1 of Improv 2 is that percussion and all sorts of stuff. Then you get some kick-ass heaviness in the second section, and then it gets back to quiet because it's leading into the talking drum. And so the talking drum, as you know, starts off very quiet. And finally, you get track number 9, which is Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 2, but it's incomplete, as it says on the bottom. It's the abridged version, as they do, which I'm going to show you next on a different album. But the problem is that it gets cut off just as they're winding down the song. When it comes into that guitar part at the very end, a few seconds are missing, so maybe 10 seconds or less, but it's almost complete. And so that's the only caveat of this album. This is fantastic, folks. I don't know if you can still get this. I got this a while back because when I saw it was available on Amazon, I was like, oh, this is my favorite time period in the band. I have to grab this, so I did. And it's again, this is essentially Larks, Tongues, and Aspic live. So if you're a fan like me, see if you can track this down. All right, so that was number 7. Number 6 is USA, John Wetton era. Walk On, No Pussyfooting, Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 2, Lament, Exiles, Asbury Park, Easy Money, 21st Century Schizoid Man, and then it closes with Fracture and then Starless. This is so powerful and amazing. Love this album. Number 5 is The Night Watch. Also a Wetton-led era. Got the band on the back. 4-piece at this point. Okay. Easy Money, Lament, Book of Saturday, Fracture, The Night Watch, improv version of Starless and Bible Black. Then disc 2 is an improvisation version of Trio. It's fabulous, folks. Exiles. Improv, The Fright Watch instead of The Night Watch, right? So maybe the album should have been called The Fright Watch. Anyway, The Talking Drum, Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 2, and 21st Century Schizoid Man. The only problem I have with this album is it's missing Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 1 and no Starless. But still great. All right. Now, the next part of this video is taking the box set, The Great Deceiver. Instead of making all this number 1, I've broken it down into the 4 CDs and ranked them. So of this box set, and before we look at the 4 CDs that it contains and I rank them for you, obviously all of these make the 4, 3, 2, 1, but in which order, right? The joy of having this is that this is, if you're like me, what you like about, one of the many things you like about of King Crimson is improv. And you know they're going to do improv if the song title is a little different or totally different, right? So An example would be Shark's Tongues and Lemsip instead of Lark's Tongues and Aspic, right? And that's a song on one of the out discs in here, or more than one. And so this is just so great. This is so worth having. Again, if you're a Wettin fan like me, this is why one of the reasons why you get this. All right, so let's talk about which makes number 4. It's actually CD4. And this is Toronto Massey Hall 1974 and Zurich 1973. You get Improv, The Golden Walnut, then The Night Watch, then Fracture, then Improv, Clueless and Slightly Slack. Okay, then Walk On, No Pussyfooting, Improv, Some Pussyfooting, Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 1, which is fabulous here. Improv, The Law of Maximum Distress Part 1, which is the only place you'll find this. Improv, it's wonderful. Then you get Improv, The Law of Maximum Distress Part 2, also wonderful. Then Easy Money, then some more improv, some more pussyfooting, and then the talking drum to close out. This is fabulous. So disc 4. Next, number 3 is disc 3. And this is called The Acts of Deception, The Magic Circles, or Weasel Stole Our Fruit. This one was called But Neither Are They Otherwise. All right, this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Stanley Warner Theater, 1974, and the last 2 tracks are Penn State University, 1974. You get Walk On, No Pussyfooting, The Great Deceiver, which is great here, Improv, Bartley Butsford, so punning on the drummer, right? Exiles, Improv, Daniel Dust, which is amazing, The Night Watch, Dr. Diamond, Starless, which is fabulous here, Improv, Wilton Carpet, The Talking Drum, and then Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2, and then Applause and Announcement, not really a song, but that's track 12, so silly. And then 13, Improv, Is There Life Out There, which is a fantastic way to close this. So, number 2, disc 2, you know what disc 1 is, right? So this one's called Sleight of Hand, or Now You Don't See It Again, and this is in Providence Continued from the last CD, and Walk On to Glasgow, Apollo, October 23rd, 1973. Starts with 21st Century Schizoid Man, and then Walk Off from Providence, No Pussyfooting. That's track number 2, and that closes out this disc. The next is Shark's Lungs and Lemsip, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1, then Book of Saturday, Easy Money, Will Let You Know, great. The Night Watch, Improv, Tight Sarumi, Peace, a Theme, and then Cat Food. So if you like the song Cat Food like I do, it's on here live. Get a nice live version. Then you get Easy Money, and then It Is For You But Not For Us, Cross, Fripp, Wettin, and Bruford. Finally, disc 1 of the box set, Great Deceiver, is Things Are Not As They Seem, Palace Theater, Providence, Rhode Island, June 30th, 1974. Walk On, No Pussyfooting, Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 2, Lament, Exiles, Improv, A Voyage to the Center of the Cosmos, which is dynamite, Easy Money, Improv, Providence, so an improvisation version of the song Providence, which is great, then Fracture, and then it ends with Starless, my favorite song. So that's the reason why this is number 1, because Starless is amazing on here. All right, folks, so this is my ranking my favorite King Crimson CDs live. As I said, I've gone partially down the rabbit hole, not ever going to go down totally, but please post in the comments, is there a live King Crimson CD that I'm missing that needs to go in my collection, and do you think there's some in here that should be taken out? Anyway, have a blessed day. Take care now. Bye.